Fever are playing. And Bay are the Fever playing. They beat
They're
the
hooping.
Connecticut Sun yesterday. They beat a Sun team that's one of the best defensive teams in the W by putting 33 points on them in the first quarter. That's the most a team has scored versus the Sun in any quarter this season. They're getting contributions from everywhere. They are absolutely humming. Caitlin Clark now has 86 made 3-point field goals this season and more history, which seemingly we see every time she steps out into the court. She's the first player in W history to have 6 straight games with 15 points, 5 boards, 5 assists. Kelsey Mitchell made a little bit of history as well. Aaliyah Boston got her career 1,000 point. Like, when I saw Sue Bird about 10, 12 days ago on a podcast say that the Fever are a team that I would not want to see in the postseason, I was like, okay, well, I super respect Sue Bird because she's right. But, I don't know. Like, they're young. They're the third youngest team in the league, and the other young teams are Dallas and Washington. And certainly they're in the bottom of the standings. And I don't know. Like, this is, they've got the easiest schedule down the stretch, and that's going to help them in terms of playoffs. But what does that actually mean in terms of playoff success? I tweeted it last night, Gare Bear, and I stand on it. Like, this team is clicking on all cylinders. If they can clean up the turnovers, which are still a little bit of a problem, if they can clean that part up, they are not a team that I would want to see 3 weeks from now.
It was a
Yeah, so, okay. Because the title says, can Caitlin Clark and the Fever win the WNBA title? And I think it's a little disingenuous to say, to try to come out and say that they can, right? It would be great for clicks. It would be great for views to say Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever can win the championship, and Caitlin Clark will win the MVP and all that. I think, and you guys all know, huge Caitlin Clark fan, huge. I think what she's doing is just second to no one, unbelievable. But it's very clear when you watch the Fever that they have more growing to do. Even Caitlin Clark has more growing to do, quite frankly. They're not resilient enough. And the ball movement, they don't really know how to play winning basketball, quite frankly. I know they're winning and things are going better for them, without a doubt. But it almost seems unplanned, quite frankly. Like, they don't really have a solid plan of attack. It's like, maybe Caitlin Clark will shoot. Maybe Kelsey Mitchell will shoot. Maybe Lexi will shoot. Like, there's no actual plan. They still don't even defer to a leader on the court. There's plenty of times that Caitlin Clark is calling for the ball, rightfully so. She's at the top of the key, wherever, and they won't give it to her. And it's not because they're anti Caitlin Clark. Like, her teammates are definitely pro Caitlin Clark at this point, but they just don't know how to play winning ball. Right? They're not actually deferring. There's times that, like, Kelsey Mitchell just, like, dribbles, like, a million miles a second. And it's like, what are you doing? I mean, she had one play, and she made the shot, so it was okay. But she, like, got the ball, went in full force against, like, 4 defenders. It was, like, 1 versus 4. And then she, like, pulled out, didn't pass or look to anyone. And then just, like, lobs up a shot. And it's like, that's not winning basketball. There's one player in the history of the world that could ever do that, and his name's Steph Curry. And quite frankly, he shouldn't even do that most of the time. It worked out for him, especially in the Olympics recently, but, like, that's not the norm here, okay? So they don't even really know how to play fundamental winning basketball just yet. And there's times that when they face, and this is what I kind of said earlier with the resilience, when they face adversity, they start to shrink a little bit. They start to get frustrated more. Even Caitlin Clark, it's something that she absolutely has to grow on. She gets frustrated a little too much. And it's something that she needs to just toughen up a little bit. And just kind of, like, take it more on the inside and say, okay. Right, she's got to do with the Kobe and the MJ. Like, Kobe and MJ weren't looking around at ever. They never looked at their teammates to be like, oh, come on. Or the refs. They're like, what? What is this? It was just like, okay. You're not going to give me that foul? Okay. Okay, I got you. We'll see. We'll see what happens next play. We'll see. And don't get me wrong. Obviously, Michael Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, even, like, they hold their other teammates accountable, but it's just different. It's more of like, this is what I need you to do. Go through here, cut, backdoor, whatever it may be, right? Whatever the play might be, whatever the issue may have been. Get back on defense. Look it up. When I call for the ball, give me the ball. Like, whatever it was. There is that commanding. And understandably, Caitlin Clark's not there yet. She's a rookie. You're right? She's a little child in the WNBA. She's dominant. She's ferocious. She's a beast. but she's not there yet. She needs to learn more how to lead, how to take charge. Because if you didn't know who Caitlin Clark was, you had zero idea who Caitlin Clark was, and you just turned on an Indiana Fever game. Outside of you seeing that Caitlin Clark is clearly the best player, you wouldn't say, oh, is she the leader? Is she taking her? Because you see Aaliyah Boston doing that more. You see even Mitchell doing that more. Like it's just Caitlin Clark needs to step up more into that role. And the team needs to defer to her. If you take one thing away from this video, it's that the Indiana Fever do not defer to Caitlin Clark enough. She is the conductor. She is the maestro. She is the composer. She is the leader. She is the alpha. But yet they still don't run it all through her. It's obvious when they do. It's insane. But there's so many times that they don't run the game through her. And it always needs to go through her. The ball should always touch her hands. There's been many games where Caitlin Clark didn't even take the most shots. And it's like, that should almost never happen. Caitlin Clark should be the number one option. She absolutely should be the number one. I understand some games not, right? Even Steph Curry, sometimes Klay Thompson had more attempts. KD, especially when they had KD, right? Like sometimes it's KD, sometimes it's Steph. But that's not the situation for the Indiana Fever. Okay? They don't have KDs and Klay Thompsons. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these other players shouldn't shoot. I'm not saying Kelsey Mitchell shouldn't be taking shots. Lexi Hall. So I'm not saying that everything just goes through Caitlin Clark and no one else does anything. But she's the conductor. She's the one that finds the open players. She's the one that gets open looks. Indiana Fever, and honestly, this is just kind of an issue with WNBA basketball as a whole. They force a lot of random shots. And it's like, don't do that. If you minimize these random forced shots where they like kind of like chuck a layup at the backboard, it's like, just don't do that. Pull back out. Find the calming presence. Caitlin Clark. And if you watch the men's Olympics, you could see that happen with LeBron, with Steph, with KD. When things started getting a little crazy, when things started getting tense and tight, you got the ball to LeBron. You found LeBron, and LeBron knew exactly what to do. He's like, I'm either going to shoot, I'm either going to pass, I'm either going to take it to the rim. Like it was like, okay, LeBron's got it now. Okay, everything's settled now. The correct play is going to happen. That is the presence that you get with Caitlin Clark. And it's only going to improve with time, of course. And the other thing that Caitlin Clark needs to do is she needs to take better shots. She needs to take better shots. She's just taking way too deep of threes. There was this like a graphic that I saw. Unfortunately, I don't have it, but it showed like the average three distance for Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, and it showed like Caitlin Clark was up there too. She's averaging farther. She's shooting threes on average farther than Steph Curry. I know she can shoot deep threes. I know that. I know she is unbelievable. But she needs to get the easy buckets. You need to get the easy buckets. Her percentage will increase. And this was out of KD's own mouth. He would say, I do not start games heaving up threes. I get the easy buckets first to get in rhythm. That's KD. He's arguably the greatest, purest scorer in the history of the NBA. I mean, he is just a pure, they call him, easy money. And it's well deserved. Same thing with Steph. Steph does not just immediately start heaving up shots. So I just think that Caitlin Clark, especially because when Caitlin Clark also takes it to the rim and does her runners and does some of these other closer shots, like they also go in. So she has to kind of get herself in rhythm. She'll start a game and immediately take a shot like a logo three. I get it. It's exciting. It's awesome. And when she makes it, you're just like, oh my God. But she's got to get settled more. She's got to get some easier threes first. Get in rhythm. Get the points going. And I think that'll significantly help her. And again, that's not supposed to, I'm not trying to, call out Caitlin Clark. Watch any of my other videos. I've been praising Caitlin Clark. But she still has, we still have to be honest about what we see. And if you're doing something that not even Steph Curry, the greatest shooter in the history of the universe is, come on, you know what I mean? You got to learn from them. So I think if those things happen, then they will be way more competitive and have a realistic chance at a WNBA title. If the game moves more through Caitlin Clark, if they become more resilient, Caitlin Clark becomes a better leader, continues to grow as a leader, and Caitlin Clark has better shot selection, they would be in a much, much, much better position to actually make a title run. But the truth is, based off what I'm watching, I'm not seeing how that's magically going to happen. Because if it didn't happen during the All Star, during the Olympic break, All Star break, whatever it was officially called, during the summer break, then it's not going to happen now. They're not going to just suddenly say, okay, we're going to run the game through Caitlin now. It's just no. And it's just Caitlin Clark again through this process, right? Just like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, they didn't enter the league making all the right decisions, all the right plays, all the time. Kobe Bryant didn't enter the league being like the leader that he became as he matured. Same thing with MJ, same thing with LeBron, same thing with Curry. So it takes time. It's just a growing pains. It's why rookies in any sport, for the most part, are not leading their team to a championship year one. And especially in basketball, and it might be a little bit different with the WNBA, but especially in basketball, these guys, the LeBrons, the MJs, the Currys, they don't win until year 5, 6, 7. Like it takes a minute or two. It's definitely a little bit longer of a development. That's just way it goes. Unless you're lucky enough to get drafted to an amazing team with already amazing players like Magic Johnson being drafted to the Lakers with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, just who was for the longest time the leading scorer in the history of the NBA until LeBron surpassed him. Like that helps. But for the most part, it takes years to really learn to know what it takes to play consistent winning championship level basketball. And Caitlin Clark is definitely well on her way. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think Caitlin Clark and the Fever can actually win the WNBA title this season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.